Konnichiwa.
Howdy, y'all.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Laurie. Welcome to Sumo
Kaboom, where we talk about all things sumo.
Yeah, and today we are talking about Chiyonokuni.
Chiyonokuni,
or as we like
y'all.
to say, Chiyonokuni.
That's right, because he just retired.
Yeah, and lucky us, we got to talk with Dave from Sumo Mainichi about Chiyonokuni, one of his favorite rikishi. So we'll get back to that in just a moment. But first,
We don't have tons of news because, well, let's just put it this way. I've been slacking off on the job and don't have much to say other than the guys are on their summer tour, their fall tour here. I'm out of town, so everything sounds different, and I have a large pug snoring behind me during this news section. But I do want to skip right over the news and chat with you about our Makikoshi winner that we didn't get to do a highlight of last week. And that is Carlo, who was our Makikoshi winner.
yay, congratulations, Carlo.
We asked Carlo, like we always do for all of our winners, what brought them into the sport. And Carlo said, I have to credit the show Fight Sports, Grand Sumo on my NBC Sports California channel for introducing me to sumo in 2022. So a newer fan to sumo. The matches they show are a few years old, but it did get me familiar with a lot of the current rikishi. And with that said, I had only been watching bashos for less than a year, with my very first being last November when Abi beat Takayasu and Takakeisho in a three-way playoff. Wow.
Oh, I remember that one.
I do too. He said that was some historic high drama for my first basho, and Takayasu became my immediate favorite.
Yeah, you have
totally
good taste.
Understand, as he is also my favorite. Since then, I've grown to love Ura and Hokuto Fuji as much as I love Papayasu. I am sad not to have witnessed Hakuho in his prime, but I'm happy to say I got to see Ochiai/Hakuoho since day one, and I look forward to where his career path will lead. He lives in Hawaii, and he's fortunate enough to be able to watch sumo from Japan live, as they are only 5 hours ahead. So he gets to watch Juryo starting with Sumo Primetime with Hiro.
Ooh.
And he also says people in Hawaii still love akebono. I am the only person I know that's into sumo, but I have talked my wife and daughter into visiting Japan next September, and we will be seeing live sumo in Tokyo. How cool is that?
That's so lucky. Oh, You're so
Yes.
fortunate.
Yes. So that's about what he says. He listens to us and appreciates what we do. And we appreciate you for playing sumo bingo with us and crushing it and winning it.
Yeah. Well done, Carlo. Well done. And do you want to say anything about the winners of the drawing?
Oh, yes. Oddly enough, another fun fact about this whole bingo tournament is that we drew two numbers randomly from all of our second place winners, one from the Makikoshi side, one from the Kachikoshi side. I drew numbers 11 and 43. And when I sent out the congratulations email, I found out that both of these people had the same last name. And then I thought, I wonder if they're related. Well, it turns out they were a husband and wife team. They had bingoed on completely different days, but they had mad sumo bingo luck because they both got their names randomly pulled out of a hat to
That's so
win
amazing.
our second place lottery prize. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Yeah. So congratulations to them. They've got their prizes. Everybody's getting their prizes. And I hope everybody's still, whether they won a prize or not, still had a good time playing bingo.
Perfect.
Hey, so how have things been?
Really good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Last basho was amazing, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. So
amazing.
fun. So fun.
Yeah, it
And
was
such
really
a
good.
surprise.
Who would have thought?
Well, apparently, so we're really bad with predictions, right? We make predictions and then either forget about them and never refer to them again. But I had a really strong memory of tipping Hoshoryu in this last basho.
Did you?
Yeah. We throw out just crazy predictions because we're not really we don't know what's going on. But then we thought, okay, Hoshoryu's won. Let's try to dig that audio out because I think it's the first time we've ever predicted a winner. Couldn't find it anywhere. To the point where we, because we do Juryo live streams, we downloaded the captions from the live stream to go, maybe it's in here somewhere. Like it wasn't. So anyway, I have a very strong memory, and Amy has a strong memory of me tipping Hoshoryu, but might have been a dream.
Yeah, maybe you just wished that you did.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
We had a recent retirement of Chiyonokuni, a wrestler that we haven't talked about that much on Sumo Kaboom recently, but I thought it would be really nice to have Dave from Sumo Mainichi here to talk about Chiyonokuni and why he should be remembered. If you don't know Dave, I'll let Dave introduce himself in his podcast first.
Oh, hey, my name's Dave. I'm from a little podcast called Sumo Mainichi. You might be able to hear that I'm Australian. I'll try to talk slowly. But thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of the podcast and very, very happy to be talking Chiyonokuni.
Oh, yeah. And you were the only person we thought of when we thought we want to do something on Chiyonokuchi, because how did I just say his name?
Chiyonokuchi, which I think, it's an affectionate nickname.
Because you seem like Chiyonokuni's number one fan. So I want to know first why he is so important to you.
Well, I was thinking about this because I have spent a lot of time in quietness of myself thinking about Chiyonokuni, reflecting on his career. But I think probably everyone has that rikishi that when they start watching, for whatever reason it is, they latch on to this person. And for me, when Amy and I started watching, it was Chiyonokuni that caught my eye. I mean, that was probably around 2015, 2016. So he was still in Makuuchi. It was definitely his style. Typically, he's a bit of a brawler. And it's not that I like overly scrappy or aggressive rikishi as a rule, but there was just something about the fact that he didn't dominate. He just went out there day in, day out, threw himself into the bouts. And I think also too that like his sumo didn't look that refined. There was nothing beautiful about it. And I think there was something that attracted me to it as well.
He's a little raw, I think, when you watch him. But he also has a very perfectly straight back when he is it's very weird. But like it's ideal. I think when they hunker down at I call it a hunker, but the Sankyo, whatever they do, and they get ready to tachiai, his back is so perfectly straight, and he is like after he tachiais, he's a little wild. There's a little bit of chaos in there, which I like. The
chaos is absolutely something that I like about his sumo. Well, I have to say liked about his sumo. I'm still getting used to this idea that he's not around anymore.
It's rough.
And I guess the other thing that we came across, I think it was probably early on in our sumo watching, NHK did a little special on Chiyonokuni. And it mostly revolved around him helping out his older brother in his ramen restaurant. So I think at that point, Chiyonokuni
This is a Hollywood movie. I have a feeling that there could be a plot line, a Hollywood movie. Sumo wrestler helping his older brother succeed at a ramen restaurant.
Well, look, it came across like, I mean, it wasn't that funny, but it was certainly sitcom-esque in its setting. Seeing Chiyonokuni sitting out the back on a wooden crate, rinsing the freshly made noodles. There's something about I admire about workmanlike people, and I think on our podcast, Takarafuji is another one of these rikishi who sumo's like a job.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of any pro sport, that sometimes you'll rise to the highest of the ranks. And then other times I'm going to work today and my job is to just push this other guy around. And then I'll go back and help at the ramen restaurant.
So you like his workman style, his blue-collar style.
Absolutely. And I mean, the other thing too, now I incorrectly, when I first started watching his bouts, thought he was a bit older than he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was something also too that, and this actually went on throughout his career, that idea of just not giving up. And I know that sounds a bit saccharine, but despite injuries, despite age, just finding a way back.
Yeah, because he fought back not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, each time the burden of injuries became more and more and more. And it became quite difficult towards the end to see him go out there completely taped up. His sumo very much restrained by those injuries, but still that desire to step up and keep at it. I mean, I'm not sure if you know the kind of, I mean, the story of those comebacks is quite, well, I mean, there's some dark moments there.
Yes. Why don't you fill us in on what that story is?
Well, now I'm not sure. Has Sumo Kaboom done an ep on the big gambling scandal?
Not yet.
Yeah, you should really do that because it's one of those things that, yeah, Amy and I have all these ideas to do. Wow, we should do a special on this. And of course, as soon as the sumo stops, we don't do anything until it starts again. But when Chiyonokuni was in Juryo, he'd worked his way up, and around 2011, I think, there was a big match-fixing scandal that came to light. So what happened was a whole bunch of Juryo rikishi and makuuchi rikishi were banned because people were throwing matches and betting, which, yeah, horrible thing to think about. But it meant that a bunch of makushita rikishi got promoted very, very quickly. And Chiyonokuni was one of those rikishi. So he actually made his Juryo debut in July 2011, the basho after all of these bans took place. So, I mean, his rise was unorthodox, but when he got to Juryo, he was quite comfortable there and made his way up to makuuchi, I think, the next year, 2012. But then, and I'm not sure if you've read into this a little bit, but he bounced around between makuuchi and Juryo for a while, and then his dad got sick. So his dad was diagnosed with cancer, and then from there, I think he turned to the bottle, which is we like to keep it light, but we need to tell the Chiyonokuni story and honour it for what it is.
Yeah, in full. And everyone has light and dark, so we have to embrace that.
We do. Yeah. We do.
He wouldn't be the first wrestler who's had a drinking problem. I mean, they all kind of do.
Well, they all kind of do. I mean, it's very much part of the culture and part of that, almost diet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, I think with the pressures of at that time he'd been injured, his dad was diagnosed with cancer, and then, the drinking took hold that started to take its toll. But then, and this is why just on its own that the comebacks were incredible, but his oyakata at the time said, look, we can get you back to makuuchi, but you need to stay off the booze. And Chiyonokuni took this challenge on. He took it on personally. He gave up drinking because he didn't want to let down his oyakata or his father, who was really at that point in recovery. But then his oyakata was diagnosed with cancer. So Chiyonokuni, he said, what about one more drink together?
Wow.
And then he went back. He trained with incredible and renewed intensity, apparently, and then made his debut, his return to makuuchi in 2016, just before his dad and his oyakata passed away. Isn't that a beautiful story? The weight that man was carrying. It's a story. I mean, it's a story of real life, isn't it?
It is.
Right.
It is.
And you can see just how much passion this young kid had to prove it and to honor his dad and his oyakata. Like, what spirit? And I think when you watch him, you see a very big spirit, It's like a big energy.
You absolutely do. Like, we, speaking to people, we were lucky enough to speak with one of the translators off NHK years ago, Mickey, who works and does the translations for the English commentators. And she spoke to us a lot about this idea of sumo do, which is like the way of sumo. And I think that Chiyonokuni, while he didn't set the world on fire, I think he really embodied that idea of sumo do, that idea that he expressed himself through sumo and lived that sumo life. And I think, what a success for him to make that return to makuuchi, to show his oyakata, show his father, I'm a good kid. I did it for you.
I did it for you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that second rise back to the top division was the rise in which he got his highest rank, Maegashira 1, correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. So he went all the way, knocked on the door of Sanyaku. But really, I mean, if we face facts, Sanyaku wasn't for him.
Okay.
And I think that's completely fine. Maegashira 1, huge success. I think so many Rikishi would kill for a career high of Maegashira 1.
I think you're right.
I think that's also why at least a lot of the commentators use that phrase rank and filers. Like a lot of guys are rank and filers, and it's hard to be a rank and filer for that many years.
Oh,
like
I know.
Takarafuji, like so many of them.
You look at those Maegashira 1 Rikishi, you've got the hardest job. You don't get the benefits of Sanyaku. You don't get the acclaims of Sanyaku, yet you fight Sanyaku.
Yeah.
And you fight the best of the rest. So, yeah, look, it's an unforgiving position. But, yeah, and look, from there, it was a bit of a slow, painful decline for Chiyonokuni. And I always felt he had one more campaign left in him. Even so Amy and I went to see the Osaka Basho in March this year, and he was in Juryo. And what I wanted to say, I knew this was probably going to be the last time that we saw Chiyonokuni fight in real life. We were there on the first 4 days, and he lost on those first 4 days.
Oh.
And he won on the 5th day. So
it was because you were there.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I was screaming Chiyonokuni all throughout the bout. It might have put him off. Who knows?
I would have been screaming, Chiyonokuchi!
Chiyonokuchi.
Well, we did something on him earlier. We, with our southern accents, enjoy saying Chiyonokuni. Do you remember that, Laura?
Yeah, we do.
Chiyonokuni. It just sounds so stupid with a southern accent.
Yeah, no,
but
it sounds great.
Kind of makes sense. Chiyonokuni, y'all.
Hey, now,
can I ask? Chiyonokuni fighting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, everyone knows about the Sanctuary connection with Chiyonokuni. Have you watched Sanctuary?
No.
I have not. I have not watched it.
No.
Yeah,
Leslie, have you?
No.
I like this. I like that Netflix produces a high budget drama about sumo, and
yes, and it features his brother.
It features his brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy and I watched.
Wait. What's it called? Sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
What's it called? Yeah, I watched the first episode and I don't remember it.
I don't know.
Good.
I'm not sure. We got about 3/4 of the way through the first episode and thought, this isn't for us. I'm not sure. I know that we have to go back and watch it, but I just haven't found time to do it. But of course, Chiyonokuni's older brother, who got him into the sport at a very young age, stars in Sanctuary.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's my little brain explosion, because in my head, I keep thinking that Chiyonokuni is older than that guy. And that guy is his older brother.
Yes, that's right. And I think it's that Chiyonokuni, he's got the look of someone who's lived a life, I think. I think sumo has aged him not in a positive way.
I think you're right, because he's injured a lot of himself.
Well, that's true.
Did he start at 15 in sumo, or did he join up after college?
No, he came in at 15.
Yeah, he came in early. Okay.
Apparently, when he was in...
I was just going to point to that story, please.
No, please, you go. I think we're talking about different stories.
I was just going to say he was foretold that it was foretold to him in something like 4th grade that he was going to be a professional sumo wrestler, correct?
By a fortune teller?
Well, this is where it's unclear. So it's either a fortune teller or a career advisor. So I'm sure
a career coach. It might have been a career coach.
As some kids, they're walking along the line going, doctor, astronaut, firefighter,
sumo
Rikishi. But as you see with a lot of these kids who were good at sumo, they often are involved in judo, and that was Chiyonokuni's sport when he was in high school. I mean, not that you necessarily can see that judo lineage in his style. It's a very, very different. He's not a grappler. He doesn't love getting on the belt. He was just about there and just pushing as hard as he could, as many times as he could.
But it's not that he can't do it, because there is a very famous bout of his online with Takayasu in which he does go to the belt.
Yeah, this was one that it did the rounds, thankfully, after Chiyonokuni had retired. I sent this through to you to have a look at. You'd both seen it, both had a look at it. An incredible piece of sumo magic is really the only way to describe it against Ozeki Takayasu. So this was back in 2018. This was on Chiyonokuni's 28th birthday.
Wow.
So, like, everyone knows that birthday sumo is the best sumo. But you've got Takayasu, who's, I mean, at that point, he was in the middle of his, he'd been Ozeki for probably 8 or 9 basho. He was looking very, very good. Like, typically you see Chiyonokuni absolutely throw everything at Takayasu. There was the pushing, there was the thrusting. He went to the belt, didn't like it, created some space, but knew that he had to do something radical against Takayasu at the top of his form. You then see Takayasu get a left hand on the belt, and it's almost like you can see Chiyonokuni go, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Here you see Takayasu just execute a perfect throw that sends Chiyonokuni down to the dirt. Well, at least it should have. Mm-hmm. Chiyonokuni does the splits.
Yeah, still doesn't touch his butt. I don't know how he didn't touch his butt cheeks to the doyo, because he's so close, like within an inch.
You should post this bout so that everyone can see it. But it does the splits. At this point, Takayasu has almost walked away from this bout because he felt the throw. He felt Chiyonokuni go down. He's heading back. He's getting ready to get the envelopes. Mm-hmm. Chiyonokuni has other plans, though, finds his feet. And now I can't quite remember off the top of my head if he retained this right-hand belt grip, but when he gets up, he's got the right hand on the belt and throws Takayasu down. They both crash down, but clear that Takayasu hit first. I mean, I watched this bout just one more time before I spoke to you this morning. Like, it still gives me tingles watching this.
It's incredible.
So good.
And random note, in the musical Xanadu, which I'm sure everyone has seen.
Most of our listeners, I'm sure, have seen it. I'm sure sumo fans
they need
all
to know.
Watching Xanadu.
There's a dancer in Xanadu that does the splits like Chiyonokuni does it in this match, except that he's on roller skates. And the story is he was going across the stage in those splits on roller skates, and it was so low, and the angle of his ankles was so extreme that he broke both of his ankles. Yes.
Oh. Well, that's the tragic story of Xanadu. Why are we doing an episode on the tragedy of Xanadu?
Because Chiyonokuni went down into that place and popped back up and won against Takayasu.
For heaven's sake, is that when he got injured? Because he's been taped up like a mummy ever since.
Yeah, I think it showed some good ankle strength, that's for sure. But I'm not sure if the ankles actually were one of those injuries.
I know it's his shoulders or back or the upper body, but one
of the highlights, well, you could call it a highlight statistically, was that Chiyonokuni finished with 1 kimboshi. He beat Kakuryu back in, I think that was 2017. And, Kakuryu didn't mind handing out kimboshis. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a Yokozuna, it
didn't faze him. It didn't bother him.
No, and I think
he's easygoing. He's just easy,
Look, I'm a huge fan of Kakuryu, but often when you see, middle rank Rikishi with a kimboshi, inevitably it's Kakuryu who's given it to him. and look, and I say it's a highlight statistically because it's a kimboshi, but if you look at the bout, it's a bit of a dud. And Chiyonokuni, I wouldn't say that Chiyonokuni won it. It's more that Kakuryu lost it.
I read that he beat Hakuho, and I thought, oh, I want to look up that match. When did he beat Hakuho? Turns out Hakuho didn't show up that day. That's how he beat Hakuho.
Wow. That's how most people would beat Hakuho, I think.
I think so. I really do.
I think I could probably beat him.
So how should Chiyonokuni be remembered? What do you think?
Well, I think he's certainly going to still be part of sumo. So I think he'll move into that Oyakata position. I think he'll be remembered as a fighter, and I think that's probably the most exciting thing. And I should say not fighter as in he did fights, but someone who could dig deep and internally very strong. And I think him being an Oyakata now, I think him being able to give that to the next generation of Rikishi, I think he might be remembered equally as an Oyakata as he was a Rikishi. I think he's going to have a really good Oyakata career.
I sure hope he does.
Me too.
I sure hope he does. He certainly had a never say die type of sumo style to him. And if he could impart just a bit of that to his wrestlers, he'll be a great coach.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, it was before this last basho, I noted, because Amy and I have been talking a lot about, are we going to see a Chiyonokuni Intai, a retirement announcement? And the fact that he was Kyujo, it was announced Kyujo before this last basho, I thought, no, he's not going to retire. He's just saying he's injured. It's fine. But here we are, post Chiyonokuni.
Here we are.
Well, who knows? It could have been his Oyakata's decision, because we find out often that it's not necessarily their decision. That's made by others who think they should retire. So who knows?
Oh, God, I don't know. And doing it on day 11 too, there's something about they seem to time it for maximum dramatic effect.
They did. Because
if you do it before the basho, maybe people aren't completely tuned in to sumo, but you do it day 11, and especially during the basho that we had in Nagoya, everyone's looking, everyone's listening. It's a great time to announce.
You're right. It wasn't day 3. It wasn't day 7 when people are like, oh, we're halfway through. It was at the height of excitement, just as the winning, the guys at the very top are being set. So you're right. It was timed perfectly.
It was vintage Chiyonokuni.
All right. Well, I have some questions here, and I just want to test your Chiyonokuni knowledge, okay?
Oh, God.
So let's see. Let's see if you know.
You can test
the answer.
me too. I'll prove that I'm also. You're not a dumbass, but I am 100% a dumbass.
Well, we'll see if Dave knows the answer first, and if he doesn't know it, he can pass to you.
Okay, perfect.
Sound good?
And I really won't know it. Okay, go for it.
These are very random questions.
Yep.
Okay, here goes. What is Chiyonokuni's favorite flower?
What?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Where have you dug this up from?
I said, if you go to the Japanese newspapers, they're filled with random facts about wrestlers.
Okay. Well, I can't.
These are what fans want to know.
Well, I think he's. I don't know, but I know he while he has a tough exterior, he's very fragile on the inside. So I'm going to say a daisy.
Okay. Leslie, what would you like to guess?
I'm going to say a white rose.
Ooh.
Oh, very sensitive.
Very specific.
Very romantic.
Well, we haven't really talked about that, but that's the way I see him. Okay.
I'm sorry to say that you're both incorrect.
Okay.
What?
But Dave was closer because his favorite flower is a sunflower.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that a type of daisy? Isn't that the same thing?
No.
Oh, well.
No.
Okay. The question number 2. I have 9 of these, by the way. Okay. Question number 2. In addition to sumo, what else does Chiyonokuni have a big interest in?
Again, no idea. But I feel like he would like horse racing.
Oh, okay. Are you sure you want to stick with that answer?
Baseball.
Okay. Leslie, do you have a guess?
Competitive ballroom?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I mean,
Okay,
I
think
actually
more
was
about
going to
the
go
man.
with baseball, but
No. Think about this man who has spent a lot of his time doing sumo, getting injured in sumo. What do you think he might have
he wants
built
to
an
be
interest in?
an EMT or a doctor, physical therapist.
Oh, it's not a sport.
Warmer.
For some reason, I
You're
thought it was
getting
a sport. I think accounting.
That's a good
Because
one.
I think it'd be a great way for him to help out in the restaurant is to keep an eye on the books.
Oh,
Yes.
you're correct. Yes. But that is not the right answer.
Okay. Well, physiotherapy.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. Yes, he has an interest in acupuncture and chiropractic medicine now.
Okay.
well,
Okay.
can we just
That makes sense.
clarify that? I wouldn't want anyone treating me who has an interest in chiropractory or whatever you call
Right.
it. Is he studying it or not? I think you've got
No.
there's a line in the sand.
There is a line in the sand.
Don't touch my neck.
But at this point, he just has an interest, as far as I know. So if you want to, maybe if you want somebody to practice on you, he'd be into that. Question number 3. Why did Chiyonokuni decide to enter the Kokonoi stable?
Well, I think his older brother was already there. Is that right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Leslie, do you?
I'm going to go with he saw the hot bod that was Chiyonofuji and said, I want to do what that guy's doing for the chicks. That's my guess. That's my guess.
And he achieved that goal.
He achieved it. He did.
He did. According to the newspapers, he entered that stable because of the food.
What?
They serve a real good chonko.
Wow.
Well, that's not nearly as exciting, but okay.
I know.
I mean,
It has to be a
practical.
good chonko.
Yeah.
It is practical.
Yeah, one of his
Okay.
favorite foods is eel, and I
Yep.
guess they serve a lot of eel in their chonko.
All right,
There you
then.
go. There you
He
go.
knows what he likes.
Yep. There are other
Okay.
ways to get eel rather than
Easier ways,
committing
right?
your life to sumo. I think they sell it in the supermarkets there.
I know, it would be a lot cheaper ultimately.
Yeah.
Okay, according to his official JSA profile, what is his hobby?
Calligraphy?
Oh, yeah, I would imagine him a man of the fine arts. I'll say poetry.
Oh, you both are giving him such more personality than he really has.
Watching TV?
Manga? Anime?
No.
What is it?
Health management.
Oh,
What does that mean?
He's proving to be way more of a boring person than this episode was leading me to believe.
I feel that someone else has written this for him. Who says they're interested in health management?
I think you're right. I bet his Oyakata did write that one.
Yeah.
Or Jake.
Because that is the official profile. So anybody could have written that one.
That's JSA publicity guy.
Yeah, the publicity guys looked at the form and Chiyonokuni's put drinking and gambling. He's like, why don't we say health management?
Okay. Next question. Name a part of his body that he didn't injure doing sumo.
His
Oh,
ankles.
that's a good one. We think his ankles are okay.
I'm sorry, but he did injure his ankles.
Okay, I think I know his shoulders were bad. I assume the elbows were bad. I think
Hips?
the hips are. I'll say his knees. I think his knees were okay, weren't they?
Nope.
Okay.
He had kneecap problems. He had ACL stuff. Yeah,
okay.
no, he had,
Shins?
You know, there's nothing about his shins. So he
you're
did
correct.
not have shin splints.
What condition were the toes in? I think the toes were okay, weren't they?
I think you're right. The toes were okay. I would have taken toes, shins, neck. He didn't appear to have any neck issues that I know of.
Well, he would have been doing some self-chiropractor work.
That's true. Okay. When he was really injured badly, how long did it take him to tape up before practice in the morning?
Well, this is a fascinating question. I mean, it's minimum 1 hour.
Correct, but it's more. You are correct.
I mean, who is he taping himself, or is this somebody else taping him? And if it's somebody else, we have to have a discussion about how long this is taking.
Yeah, we might need to. Is it people hours? Maybe we could, because if it's a team of 3, each working for 1 hour.
That's true.
Do you know the width of the tape? Because that's going to come into calculations too.
That's
Was
true.
it Scotch
oh my
tape?
God, I didn't even
At this
think
rate,
about
Scotch
that.
tape is the only thing that makes sense.
I'm so sorry. I don't have these details.
Okay.
I just have a time.
Let's say 3.
That's 3 hours. That's Dave's guess. So what about Leslie?
I'm going to go with an hour and 8 minutes.
Oh, an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah,
It's awfully
specific.
specific.
Yeah, very specific.
Well, I mean, I like specificity.
Well, according to an interview that he did in Japan, it took him 2 hours to tape up before practice even started.
I mean, that's outrageous.
That's a waste of time.
Isn't it?
That's not a good use of time management.
Yeah. How long does it take to get it off then? Probably.
Well, right? Would
the
you have
same?
to cut it off? I don't know.
Or do you soak it? I'm
mean,
not sure.
He was somewhat of a mummy, when I saw him towards the end.
Yeah.
But still, that's extraordinary. Like, something's wrong with his fingers if it takes him that long to tape up.
Like,
But
when
maybe
you
you're
start
right.
off a new roll of tape and you've got to pick the start of it. Maybe it just took him a long time to do that.
And his bad eyesight and bad fingers. Who knows?
Right.
Now, where did I put that tape?
And memory. Yes.
Okay, 2 more questions for you. What was the nickname given to him by his younger Heya mates?
Well, I haven't heard a nickname. Well, obviously, Chiyonokuni, I think, is what they called him.
That's what we call him here. Sumo Kaboom. It's a better nickname.
I think they would have called him. I'm not sure. I can't even guess.
It sounds like it could be in a new Top Guns movie.
Like the
Ace.
scrapper, or like the badger, or like
Goose.
the ferret.
Y'all are on the right track.
Dave
is closer.
Is it rodent? Wait, what did Dave say?
No, Dave is closer.
Goose? Mongoose?
No.
The duck.
Ice?
Duckman.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Okay, it was Phoenix.
Well, I like that.
Okay.
It's so appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah, but
I
there's a
mean-
bunch of other phoenixes. I mean, Hakuho was a phoenix, right? But they all have phoenix in their name, but he was the phoenix. I don't know.
They just called him Phoenix.
It's not a great nickname. Do you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
but he wanted
Ace
it to
would
be
have
more
been better.
specific. Yeah, to his
Yeah.
personality. It's a little bit of a letdown.
it is a
I
bit of
have
a
to say.
letdown. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This
I'll
is
call him and let him know.
the only quiz where we're telling the people that they're wrong.
I wanted it to be like the Joker or the
Oh,
prankster.
I
You
like
know,
that.
like we find
Yeah.
out more about who he is, but we're just finding out he likes health management and he has the name that Phoenix.
Well,
Kind
I
of
reckon-
exciting.
I think Noodles would be good because he helps out in the ramen restaurant.
Oh,
Oh, I like that.
You know, a little bit of a
nudes.
playful nudes.
Nudes.
the nudes.
Okay, last question. How many push-ups did he do every day when he was training his shoulders in practice? This was right after he dislocated his shoulders. And remember, he's training with Chiyonofuji. So how many push-ups was he doing in practice every day?
Well, firstly, we've got to acknowledge that often Rikishi do tiny little small sumo push-ups. So
Yes.
I think we can think big with this number.
Yes.
I mean, I
correct.
think he could probably knock out 1,000 of those little sumo push-ups.
Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding. You hit it on
Oh, did
the nose.
Amazing. I was going to say he's just so injured that he could probably only do 3.
No, those little ones. I
The
mean,
little dink ones.
yeah.
You're like, that's not really a proper push up, but
I'll
yeah,
do 1,000
they're-
right now, and you can listen.
I imagine, him being like, hey, will you guys just hold my legs? I'm going to do 1,000 little mini push-ups here. My shoulders are going to be great.
And the younger Ricochet are like, okay, Phoenix, we'll hold your legs.
We'll do it, but only if you'll do some chiropractic stuff on me later. Or maybe try some acupuncture on me. That sounds good. Dave, this has been really fun talking with you about Chiyonokuni.
Chiyonokuni, y'all.
We love your podcast. I listen all of the time. So thank you for doing what you and Amy do. I'm a big fan. And I still have never tuned in to your Jurio live.
You should come and hang out sometime. It's a good bunch of people hanging out there.
When do you do it and how do you do it?
We on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, we stream Jurio and add some commentary. So we do it on day 1, day 8, and day 15.
Wow.
Perfect. And then how can people find you if they haven't listened to you yet?
Oh, yeah. So you should check out our podcast, Sumo Mainichi. We put an episode out every day of the basho, 6 bashos a year. You can find us on every podcast platform that is available, I believe. But you're probably going to go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's been so much fun chatting with you, Dave.
It's so good to speak to you both. We're very, very big fans of Sumo Kaboom, so it's great to be on the episode today.
Well, one day we'll find ourselves hopefully sitting in a press box during a basho.
Yes.
All of us together.
Best.
We need to
Japan.
do this.
Yes, we do.
We'll put it out to the world and make it happen somehow. Somehow.
So I think that's it for us today.
Yes, that is it. I loved chatting with Dave. Now I want to sit down with him and Amy. So maybe we have to make a trip to Australia.
Ooh,
but,
I'm in.
I'm in too. I love Australia. But
I do too.
Thank you to Dave for sitting down with us and bringing us some highlights on Chiyonokuni.
Yes, and we missed you, Amy. We'll have to talk with you next time.
That's right. Well, until next week, I'm Leslie.
I'm Laurie. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.